accountable. I have faith that they will be. Well, Rachel Fiset is a criminal attorney who has been following the case. She is in Los Angeles for us. Rachel, what was the key element, do you think, that won this case for the prosecution?
I don't think that the defense could get around the very close ties that Ms. Maxwell had with Jeffrey Epstein. There was nothing they could do to get around that these acts could not have been committed without her knowledge. And as time and time again, the testimony was showing, she was there to help bring the girls to him.
The statute of limitations was moved. How important was that?
Well, that's incredibly important because most of the acts that were discussed all took place between 1994 and 2004. And those girls were very young at that time. So in sexual abuse cases where the victim is a child, the statute of limitations has been made longer through Congress so that victims can have the courage, the wherewithal, basically the adulthood to come and testify against their accusers in these kinds of situations.
And the accuser's testimony in this case was very powerful and ultimately very significant.
Oh, yes, very significant. The accusers and the victims were the reason this case could be won. It was their bravery and their courageousness in coming forward and being subject to cross-exam that got them the verdict that they were really looking for. So yes, absolutely, they were completely instrumental in the prosecution's victory in this matter.
And US attorneys don't usually bring cases like this unless they're pretty confident they can win, right?
Absolutely. For a case to get this far, they had mounting evidence. Although the evidence was old, which was really the challenge in the prosecution's case, was, again, that these facts took place, the witnesses that were not the victims, all took place between 1994 and 2004. So they had to gather what would be old facts, the death of Jeffrey Epstein, the finding old witnesses. That was really the challenge in this case. But they persevered and, continued on even in the face of what would be old facts in order to secure this verdict.
And the defense had a number of setbacks with their case, right? Just in terms of procedural things, just things went wrong for the defense from the start to the finish.
Well, the defense had a lot of challenges to overcome, and the defense that they were putting up was difficult for them to put up. They chose not to put Ms. Maxwell on the stand, which was probably a good choice, as she probably would not have helped her. It would have been very hard for them to get around what they would have had to get around in order to win this case, which was basically showing that Ms. Maxwell was not consistently there and part of these acts. And so they did not have an easy time getting around those facts, and they procedurally were unable to overcome that as well.
And just give us a sense of the scale of the interest in this case, because obviously Ghislaine Maxwell is British. There's a lot of people here who've been covering this story. Just how big is this in the US and internationally?
I think this is an enormous case. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein's reach and the alleged client base that he had is international. It obviously strikes Britain pretty hard as it relates to the royal family. This is an international case with huge reach, and this is really the case that the prosecution would have liked to bring against Jeffrey Epstein, but couldn't because of his suicide, which obviously had extreme interest throughout the country with multiple conspiracy theories and the like. So this is finally getting to bring the case to some kind of close that they've been trying to bring against Epstein for many, many years.
And there's also the fact that she has a second trial coming up.
She does, yes.
Rachel Fiset in Los Angeles, thank you very much indeed for bringing us up to date with that. I know you've been following the case closely, and it's been a massive story. So thank you so much indeed for the details on that.
Thank you so much for having me.